Hey folks, Poverty Point Custom. So what we're going to do today is an oil and filter change on my John Deere 870. It has a Yanmar 28 horsepower engine in it. So I'll be using 4.8 liters of Rotella 15W40 T4, a John Deere oil filter. I got some brake cleaner for any leaking oil, funnel, and a drain pan. And not to mention a 17mm socket. So before we start the oil change, we're going to drive the tractor around a little bit and let her warm up. Alright, so we got her warmed up. Alright, so we have 866.8 hours. So what we're going to do first is pop the hood and take off both side covers. And we have our dipstick, our oil fill at the top of the engine, and our oil filter here. So underneath the engine, you're going to have your oil drain right here. So that's a 17mm. So when we loosen this off, I'm going to pull it out slowly because there's a lot of oil that comes out really quickly into that oil pan and we don't want it overflowing. So we're going to let that drain. Didn't make as much of a mess as I thought. So I also want to mention, when I bought this from the last owner, he said it had roughly 40 hours on the oil change. And I would say it's probably quite accurate. I mean, looking at that oil filter, it actually looks fairly brand new. And I'm just taking a look at the oil. The oil actually looks nice and clean. There's no medical particles or whatnot in it. So next we're going to clean our oil plug, and we're going to clean that surface there before we reinstall this. And make sure your washer's on. Doesn't have to be on super tight. So next we're going to remove our oil filter. Make sure your pan's underneath of it. So once this is done dripping, you want to clean off the mating surface for the oil filter. Also make sure the old O-ring's not on there. And just clean off the little bit that's dripped. And we're just going to get out the new oil filter. Make sure it's the right model, part number. Before you install the new filter, you want to put a little bit of oil around the gasket. And you're going to reinstall your new oil filter. Now I put mine on hand tight. Some people will wrench it on as hard as they can and then give it another half a turn or so. This is not going to leak. And I'll always write the hours on the filter just with a paint marker. 867 hours, and today's date, actually I'm a day ahead here. That'll be fine because it'll be next year when it gets done again, so a day's not going to make a difference. So when I'm draining the oil on this, I actually don't open up the fill cap. I want it to drain slowly. If not, if this is open, it creates almost like a suction, so it will actually drain twice as quick. So this takes roughly 4.8 liters, so we're going to take that off and we're going to put about 4 liters in here, and then we're going to check it. Alright, so it's showing full on the dipstick. We're going to let it run for 10 or 15 seconds to get the oil through the filter, and then we're going to check the oil again and top it up. And I topped up the oil. I'll check it again probably in an hour or so just to make sure it's at the proper level. Took a little bit more. And you always want to check to make sure nothing's leaking at your oil filter and your oil drain bolt right here. I just sprayed up a little bit of the residue with a little bit of brakes and parts cleaner. So some say to do this every 100, 200 hours, 500 hours. I'll do this every year, even if it has 20 hours on it or 50 hours. This will be done yearly. As well, my next project, we're going to clean the fuel filter and replace it, and clean all inside the fuel bowl, as well as the bowl at the back of the tractor too. I'm just waiting for the filter to come in, so that will probably be this weekend's project, so make sure you stay tuned. So the next part is to put it all back together. And like that, we're done the oil and filter change. This is something that literally takes a couple minutes to do. Anybody can do this. So again, the next project is we're going to swap out the fuel filter, get that cleaned. I'm not sure when it's been last done, as well as clean the fuel bowl in the back. So make sure you subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, make sure you post them below. If not, I really appreciate you watching. Take care.